All right, welcome back. We are joined by Dr. Bayo Curry-Winchell, better known as BCW, the Urgent Care Medical Director at St. Mary's. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we are headed into cold and flu season. So right now is the time we have to be proactive before we get sick.
Yes, it is so important. You know, when we talk about cold and flu season, we now have to add COVID season as well. And so there is a blend of so many different symptoms. So whatever you can do in hopes of not getting sick is key.
I know last year there was a big worry about the triple-demic, right? It was the flu, it was COVID, it was RSV. But now we're in a better spot a year later because there are treatments and vaccines for all of those.
Yes, the fact that we now have vaccines available, it's huge. And also the fact that we know what to look for. And so that makes it a huge, a big difference overall.
You know, it can be hard to know what you have because a lot of the symptoms they cross over all the boundaries, right? If you have COVID, you have the flu, you have the cold, you can feel some of the same symptoms.
Yes, and so often we hear that you felt a little tired a couple of days before. And then when you think of the flu and COVID, as well as RSV, you can have a fever, runny nose, body aches. And so that's why I always encourage people to come in. Don't feel like you have to know what you have. Come in, be seen, get tested, and then we can really put forward the best treatment.
Yeah, you know, there's also a misnomer, like for all the vaccines, that if you get the vaccine, you will not get sick later. Like if you get a COVID shot, you'll never get COVID. You can still get sick, it just lessens the effects.
Yes, so I always like to change the language into sick into adverse reactions, but those adverse reactions are actually arming your body for if you were to come into contact with COVID, RSV, and so forth. And so yes, you may feel a little run down after you get the vaccine, but it's preparing you for in hopes that you don't get it, or if you do get it, the symptoms are less. And so we have to continue to talk about that because it may not prevent it, but what it can do is hopefully have less symptoms as well as not get hospitalized and so forth.
Sure, and we remember before the vaccines, there were a lot of people who were dying and being hospitalized. So, you know, getting sick is a good trade-off for something like that. RSV is a rising concern for parents, but we kind of mentioned, I mean, we are in a better spot this year than we were in previous years.
Yes, we have a vaccine now available for infants as well as those over the age of 65. And so previously we didn't have that. But we have to keep in mind that now we have RSV, COVID, flu, all of those things that I always like to share. There's no rule that you can just get one at one time. So really think about that you can have all four at the same time, hopefully not. So lean into vaccinations or getting tested as soon as possible so you can get ahead of it in hopes of getting better sooner.
I know early on in diagnosing COVID, there were a lot of different symptoms out there. Some people had fever, some didn't. Is there any universal symptom that has kind of come to the forefront that we should know, like, oh, maybe we do have COVID, or is it still kind of, it treats everyone differently?
So everyone's a little different. You know, we still have patients who are asymptomatic, meaning they don't have symptoms. However, really think about some of the new symptoms that we've heard, such as diarrhea is a common one with COVID that people often think, oh, did I get food poisoning? Do I have something else? And so that's one thing to kind of hang your hat on, but also think about fever, body aches, or if you're just not at your baseline and you start to feel run down, it could be the signs of starting to have an illness.
And if you're worried that you might, just take the test. You can get them free for the government right now, the take-home tests.
Absolutely. I always encourage my patients to get tested, come in and be seen. If you're not sure, there's no harm. I personally love when people come in and they're like, I just don't feel well. And I'm like, I'm just glad that you came in. And that's what I'm here for. So yes, always feel free to come in. There's so many different places available. Urgent cares. We're opening ours, you know, in October at Galena. And so just really look forward to seeking out care because there's no harm in getting help when you don't feel well.
Definitely. That's what doctors are there for.
Yes, that's what we are.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us, Dr. BCW. It's good to see you again. We'll be right back.
Thank you.